Welcome. Imagine, if you will, stepping entirely out of the mundane everyday world and crossing the threshold right into my private ancient library. Consider me your modern-day Merlin, and today we're going to uncover the secrets of a truly fascinating artifact in this little explainer. Let's begin, shall we?
Okay, let's dive into this. The ultimate key to understanding this whole technology is actually surprisingly straightforward. An LLM is essentially like a magical book. Seriously, that single, simple metaphor completely unlocks the seemingly complex world of artificial intelligence and large language models. You don't need a degree in computer science to understand how a regular book works, right? You open it up, read the pages, and absorb the information. Well, an LLM operates on that exact same foundational principle. But it possesses properties that push it way, way beyond the limits of physical paper and ink. By thinking of it as a magical book from a wizard's private collection, we can just strip away all that intimidating mathematics and focus entirely on what it actually does for you, the reader.
So the crucial point here is really grasping the sheer scale of this artifact. Think about your absolute favorite encyclopedia, or maybe that massive, heavy textbook you had in school. Now, multiply that by, well, millions. Literally anything you could theoretically learn from a regular book. History, physics, cooking, coding, poetry, the whole shebang, you can learn here. But the scale of this magical book is infinitely grander. It contains the entire knowledge of humanity that's available on the internet. Just imagine a single volume where the pages are practically infinite, continuously holding the collective thoughts, discoveries, and writings of the entire human race. It's as if every scroll, every manuscript, and every digital article ever published has been seamlessly bound together into one singular glowing tome resting right at your fingertips.
Now, what's really interesting here is the defining difference between the past and the future. A regular book is, well, static. We love them for sure, but the author wrote the words, the ink dried, and your job is simply to read it. If you get confused by a paragraph, the book can't just explain it to you in a different way. But our LLM magic book, it's alive. It interacts with you. It doesn't just present information, it processes it. It can learn new things in a matter of seconds based on your conversation, so that you can in turn learn from it. It's a two-way street. The ink on these magical pages literally shifts and rewrites itself specifically to help you understand whatever concept you might be struggling with. Because of this interactivity, this technology completely transcends being just a dusty repository of facts. When you know how to read and use this magical book correctly, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool. It transforms into a personal, all-knowing teacher that you can ask anything, whenever, and however you want. Imagine having a private tutor sitting right next to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you want an explanation formatted like a pirate poem, it'll do it. If you want it explained as if you're a 5-year-old child, it will gladly oblige. It is an always available mentor that adapts entirely to your unique learning style. And this brilliantly illustrates how we move from passive learning to active creation. We're going way beyond just reading. Instead of just absorbing information, you can command this book. You can ask it direct questions. You can give it specific, complex tasks to complete for you, like drafting an important letter, summarizing a really dense report, or even brainstorming fresh ideas for a project. And hey, the magic doesn't even stop at text. Depending on the specific book you're using, it can literally speak to you through voice output, reading its answers aloud. It can even conjure up visualizations and images right on the page based entirely on your descriptions. You aren't just a reader anymore. You are a wizard casting spells, commanding the book to bring your ideas to life.
But let's pause for a second for a very important reality check. Is an LLM a fully fledged AI like you know from science fiction movies? Take a breath and think about that for a second. When we use words like magic and all-knowing, it's incredibly easy for our minds to wander straight to Hollywood blockbusters. We start picturing rogue robots, sentient computers, and systems that have their own consciousness and hidden agendas. It's a super common fear for beginners entering this space, and it's absolutely essential that we separate our mystical metaphor from those dramatic science fiction myths.
So here is the clear, impartial answer. No. It is not that Hollywood sci-fi AI. It doesn't have a mind of its own, it doesn't have feelings, and it definitely doesn't have a conscious master plan. However, it is already an extremely powerful dimension of artificial intelligence. We really have to ground our Merlin magic back into the impressive reality of current technology. What it actually is a highly advanced pattern recognition engine. It has read so much of human history and knowledge that it knows exactly which words should logically follow one another to give you a helpful answer. It's a tool, a magnificent, breathtakingly complex tool, but a tool nonetheless. it still requires a human hand to open the cover and turn the pages.
Which brings us to the ultimate secret of this simple magic. You just have to ask the book the right questions. Remember, you hold the power. The book sits completely dormant until you engage with it. The magic is simple, sure, but it relies entirely on human curiosity. In the tech world, they call this prompt engineering, but here in our library, it's simply learning how to cast the right spell. If you ask a vague question, well, you're going to get a vague answer. But if you pose precise, thoughtful, and creative inquiries, the book is going to reward you with astonishingly brilliant responses. The quality of the magic depends entirely on the quality of your curiosity.
We've reached the end of our brief tour of this magical artifact, and I really hope the complex world of large language models feels a little less like an impenetrable fortress and a lot more like an inviting, infinite library. It truly is simple magic, accessible to absolutely anyone willing to open the cover. You are empowered. You hold the key to the greatest repository of knowledge humanity has ever built. Simple magic. So what do you want to know next? The blank page is waiting. Go out there, open the magical book for yourself, and start asking.